Yugoslavia, 1986. Jackie Chan jumped from a castle wall to a tree branch 40 feet below. He'd done similar jumps dozens of times. This time, the branch broke. Jackie fell 15 feet onto solid rock, landing on his head. Bone fragments from his skull entered his brain. The Yugoslav doctors who treated him were direct. If he survived, he would likely never walk normally again. Permanent neurological damage was probable. His career was over. 9 weeks later, Jackie Chan was back on a film set. Not watching, performing. The film was Armor of God. Jackie was playing a globe-trotting adventurer. The scene was straightforward by Jackie's standards. A jump from a castle wall to a large oak tree, grab a branch, swing down to the ground. He'd rehearsed it twice, both times perfect. The third time was for camera. Jackie launched from the wall, reached the branch, his hands closed around it. The branch snapped. There was no time to adjust, no time to tuck, roll, position. The fall was chaotic, uncontrolled, the thing Jackie had spent his entire career learning to avoid. When you control a fall, you can manage the impact. When you don't, the body goes where physics takes it. Physics took Jackie's head into solid rock. The crew reached him in seconds. He was conscious but wrong. Something was clearly wrong. He was speaking but not making sense. His eyes were open but unfocused. They got him to a Yugoslav hospital within 20 minutes. The doctors worked for hours. The skull fracture was severe. Bone fragments had entered the right side of his brain. There was bleeding. There was pressure. There were decisions to make quickly about how to relieve that pressure without causing additional damage. Jackie's producer made calls to Hong Kong, to the film's investors, to Jackie's family. The calls all contained the same information. Jackie Chan had a serious brain injury. The situation was critical. Jackie regained consciousness the following day, and the first thing he said, the very first words out of his mouth after a brain surgery that should have killed him, told everyone in that hospital room exactly what kind of recovery was coming. Willie was in the room when Jackie's eyes opened. He'd been there for 6 hours, waiting. Jackie blinked, looked at the ceiling, turned his head slowly to find Willie. "How's the tree?" Jackie asked. Willie stared. "What? The tree. The branch broke. Is the tree okay?" Willie laughed. It was the kind of laugh that comes out when the alternative is crying. "Jackie, you have a hole in your skull and you're asking about a tree. I liked that tree, before it tried to kill me." Willie leaned forward. "Jackie, you have a serious brain injury. The doctors say I know what the doctors say. The nurses have been talking. My Yugoslavian is terrible, but medical words are similar everywhere." Jackie looked at the ceiling again. Never walked normally. Permanent damage. Career over. "Jackie, they're wrong," Jackie said simply. Not aggressively, not defensively, just as a statement of fact. "They're good doctors. They know what they see, but they don't know what I know. What do you know?" Jackie turned back to Willie. "I know my body, better than any doctor. I've been learning it since I was 6 years old. Every injury I've had, every recovery. I know what this body can do when I ask it to. This is different. This is your brain, Jackie. Everything is my brain. Every stunt I've ever done, every fall, every recovery. That was my brain telling my body what to do. If I can train my body, I can train my brain." He paused. "I just need time." Willie Chan, Jackie's manager and closest friend, was on a plane within hours. When Willie arrived at the hospital, Jackie was out of emergency surgery but unconscious. The lead doctor spoke carefully, as doctors do when they're being honest about bad news. The surgery removed the bone fragments and relieved the pressure. He survived. That is the good news. Willie waited. The damage to the brain tissue is significant. The right side of his brain controls left side motor function. We don't know yet how much function he'll recover. But I want to prepare you. Full recovery is unlikely. He may have permanent weakness or paralysis on his left side. Walking normally again. The doctor paused. "I wouldn't count on it." Willie sat in a Yugoslav hospital corridor and tried to absorb that information. Jackie Chan, the man who'd spent 47 seconds making Hollywood stuntmen look slow. The man who'd navigated 12-story ledges without safety wire. The man whose entire identity, career, and philosophy was built around physical mastery, told he might never walk normally again. The next 3 days were the hardest. The left side of Jackie's body was partially unresponsive. His left hand could grip weakly. His left leg could feel pressure but not generate controlled movement. Walking was impossible. The doctors began cautious rehabilitation, small movements, gentle stimulation, conservative expectations. Jackie had different expectations. On the 4th day, he asked Willie to bring something from his luggage. Willie thought he meant personal items, comfort things. Jackie wanted his training notes. For 15 years, Jackie had kept detailed notes on his physical training. Not just what exercises, how his body responded, recovery times from specific injuries, rehabilitation techniques he'd discovered through trial and error after dozens of injuries. Willie brought the notebooks. "Jackie, you should be resting." "I am resting. My body is resting. My mind is working." Jackie spent 2 days reading through 15 years of recovery notes, looking for patterns, looking for what had worked after other neurological impacts. He'd had concussions before, several. He documented how his brain had responded. On the 6th day, Jackie told his doctor he wanted to begin intensive rehabilitation. The doctor was cautious. "Mr. Chan, we typically wait longer before I've had 17 significant head impacts in my career," Jackie said. "Concussions. I know how my brain recovers. It needs stimulation, not rest. Complete rest is wrong for me. Gentle stimulation, progressive loading, constant movement. That's what works for my neurology." The doctor looked at him, at the notebooks, at the completely calm certainty in Jackie's eyes. "You're asking me to trust your self-assessment over standard protocol. I'm asking you to add my self-assessment to your protocol. You know medicine. I know this specific brain. Together we know more than either of us alone." The doctor agreed to a modified approach, and what happened over the next 3 weeks would make the medical team question everything they thought they knew about neurological recovery. Because Jackie Chan didn't just follow a rehabilitation protocol. He treated his own brain like he treated every other stunt in his career. Jackie's rehabilitation became unlike anything the Yugoslav medical team had seen. Standard protocol, gentle movement, rest between sessions, slow progression, protect the injured tissue. Jackie's protocol, constant low-level stimulation, almost no rest between sessions, rapid progression, challenge the injured tissue to adapt. He spent hours making his left hand perform precise movements, not big movements, tiny ones, moving individual fingers, tracing shapes, picking up small objects, dropping them, picking them up again. "Why the precision?" Willie asked, watching. "Watching. The brain learns by doing, not by trying to do. Trying is thinking. Doing is training. I make my hand do the movement, even imperfectly, and my brain starts finding new pathways to make it happen." "That sounds like something you invented. Master Yu told me when I was 8. He said the body teaches the brain, not the other way around. The brain gives instructions. But when the instructions aren't working, you teach the brain new instructions by forcing the body to move and letting the brain figure out how." Willie watched Jackie's left hand laboriously trace a circle on the bedsheet. It took 3 minutes to complete one circle. Imperfect, shaking, but completed. Again, Jackie said to himself, and started another circle. He did that for 4 hours. The left leg was harder. Leg function required not just motor control, but coordination, balance, proprioception, the brain's sense of where the body is in space. Jackie's proprioception on the left side was severely disrupted. His brain didn't know where his left leg was unless he looked at it. That's a particular kind of damage that's deeply disorienting. You reach for a step and your leg is 6 inches from where you thought it was. Jackie addressed it the same way he addressed every technical problem in stunt work. Break it into components, fix each component separately, then integrate. He spent hours just finding his left leg with his eyes closed, concentrating, trying to feel where it was, failing, looking, trying again, failing less. "You look like you're meditating," Willie said one afternoon. "I am, but on my left knee." On the 10th day post-surgery, Jackie stood for the first time, both legs, holding the bed frame. The left leg trembled violently. His grip on the bed frame went white-knuckle. He stayed up for 11 seconds before the left leg gave way. He sat back down, immediately tried to stand again. The nurse moved to help. Jackie shook his head. "I need to do it myself. The brain needs to know it can." He stood again. 8 seconds. Sat. Stood. 5 seconds. Sat. Stood. 12 seconds. He did that for 2 hours. By the end of the second week, Jackie was walking. Not normally, not safely, but walking. The medical team was using words like unprecedented and remarkable. But Jackie was already thinking past walking. He was thinking about something that everyone else in that hospital thought was delusional. He was thinking about the film. Willie found Jackie one morning with the Armor of God script on his bed. "Jackie, no, the branch scene," Jackie said. "We need to rewrite it. Not because I can't do it, but because we can do something better now. You had brain surgery 2 weeks ago. I know. But listen, the branch breaking, that was a failure, a mistake. What if we design a scene where the fall is part of the choreography? What if the character falls and uses the fall? It's more interesting than a clean jump." Willie sat down. "You're planning your next stunt from a hospital bed with a hole in your skull. The hole is healing. The brain is rewiring. The production is paused. I need something to do." Jackie looked at the script. "Willie, if I don't think about going back, I might not go back. The mind has to believe it before the body can do it. This was the most revealing thing Jackie said during his recovery. Not the physical rehabilitation, not the neurological progress. The mind has to believe it before the body can do it. Jackie had always trained this way. Visualize completely. See every detail of the movement before attempting it. The brain programs the body, so the programming had to start now, while the body was still healing. He spent his 3rd week in the hospital not just rehabilitating. He was choreographing, designing the film's replacement scene, reading and rereading the script, understanding every physical demand the role would place on him. By the time his body was ready to perform, his mind would have rehearsed every movement thousands of times. On day 40 of his hospital stay, the lead doctor called Willie in for a consultation. "I want to show you something," the doctor said. He showed Willie Jackie's brain scans, the initial post-surgery scans, and the scans from that morning. "See this area?" The doctor pointed to a section of the initial scan. Dark, damaged. This was the primary injury site. Here's the same area 6 weeks later. The current scan showed different patterns, activity where there had been damage. "The brain has rerouted," the doctor said. "New pathways have formed around the damaged tissue. It's not uncommon in recovery, but the speed and extent of this is, I've been practicing neurology for 22 years. I've seen hundreds of brain injuries. I've never seen adaptation this rapid." "Is it the rehabilitation protocol?" Willie asked. "Partly. But honestly, I think it's partly him. His understanding of his own neurology, the way he challenged the damaged areas specifically and systematically. He treated his brain like," the doctor searched for words, "like a stunt," Willie said. The doctor looked at him. "Yes, exactly like a stunt. Identify what went wrong, design around the problem, test each component, integrate." He applied his stunt philosophy to his own neurology. Jackie was discharged after 53 days. The doctors signed off with a document that used careful medical language to say, "We don't fully understand what happened." 9 weeks after being told he would likely never walk normally, Jackie Chan walked out of that Yugoslav hospital and onto a plane back to Hong Kong. And what he did the day after landing would define the rest of his career. The plane landed in Hong Kong on a Tuesday morning. Willie was with him. A wheelchair was waiting at the gate as a precaution. Jackie didn't use it. He walked off the plane, slowly, with a slight asymmetry in his gait that the doctors said might be permanent, but walking, on his own, without assistance. There were photographers at the airport. Word had gotten out that Jackie Chan was returning. They expected what? A diminished version. A man changed permanently by a brain injury that should have ended him. They got Jackie Chan walking, slowly, but walking. He stopped for the photographers, smiled that famous smile. "I'm hungry," he told them. "Does anyone know a good restaurant near here?" The next morning, Jackie went to his training facility. Not to film, not to perform, to train. Willie got the call at 7 a.m. Jackie is in the gym. Willie drove over, found Jackie working through basic movements, very basic. The kind of warm-up exercises he'd done automatically for 30 years, but not automatic now. Each movement was deliberate, careful. He was relearning, in practice, the movements his mind had rehearsed for 53 days in a hospital bed. "You should be resting," Willie said. "I've been resting for 53 days. Jackie completed a slow left side kick. It was perhaps 60% of his normal height and speed. "I need to know where I am, and where are you?" Jackie did the kick again, slightly higher. "Here," which is further than Yugoslavia said I'd get. He trained for 2 hours, then stopped. Not because he was told to, because he'd assessed his current state and knew that was the appropriate duration. That self-regulation, knowing when to push and when to stop, was perhaps the most important thing Peking Opera School had given him. Not the techniques, the judgment. 3 weeks after returning to Hong Kong, Jackie called the production company. He was ready to return to filming. The producers assumed he meant light work, supervising, planning, not performing. Jackie meant something different entirely, and the conversation that followed would become one of the most debated moments in Hong Kong film history. The production meeting included the director, the producers, the stunt coordinator, and Willie. Everyone assumed the meeting was about how to complete Armor of God around Jackie's limitations. Jackie arrived with his training notebooks and the revised script pages he'd been working on in the hospital. "I'm ready to film," he said. Silence. "Jackie," the director said carefully, "we're so glad you're recovered, but we've been discussing how to restructure the remaining scenes to accommodate." "Don't restructure. I've restructured." Jackie put the revised pages on the table. "Better scenes, more interesting than the originals, and I can perform them." The stunt coordinator picked up the pages, read for a moment, looked up at Jackie. "These are more demanding than the original sequences." "I know, because I designed them from my current state, not my pre-injury state. I know exactly what I can do right now. These scenes use that precisely. But Jackie, if something goes wrong again, I know what went wrong last time. The branch was load tested for my weight, but not for dynamic load, the additional force created by the speed of the jump. I didn't account for that. The revised scenes account for it. The producer leaned forward. Jackie, you had brain surgery 8 weeks ago. The insurance alone. I know the insurance issues. I'll provide medical clearance from 3 independent neurologists. I'll do a filmed physical assessment to document my current capabilities. I'll accept a modified safety protocol for the first 2 weeks of filming. After that, standard protocol. The room was quiet. Willie, who had been silent until now, spoke. He's been training for 3 weeks. I've watched every session. Willie paused. He's different. The left side isn't 100%, but the adaptation he's made to account for it. The revised choreography is actually better, more human, more interesting. The director looked at Jackie's revised pages again, then at Jackie. If the neurologists clear you, and if Willie agrees, and if the physical assessment shows functional capacity, then we film, Jackie said. 9 weeks after the branch broke, Jackie Chan was back in front of a camera. But the most important conversation of Jackie's recovery didn't happen in a hospital or a production meeting. It happened 6 months after his return to filming, when a young fan wrote him a letter that changed how Jackie understood what his recovery had actually meant. The letter came from a 13-year-old boy in Japan named Kenji. Kenji had been in a car accident 8 months before writing. Spinal injury, partial paralysis in his legs. Doctors had told his family he might never walk without assistance. Kenji had been watching Jackie Chan films in the hospital, films his father brought because Kenji loved action movies. He'd watched Armor of God the week it was released, 6 months after Jackie's injury. He wrote, "Dear Mr. Chan, I heard you were in the hospital at the same time as me. I heard doctors said you might not walk again. I heard 9 weeks later you were working. My doctors say similar things about me, that I might not walk without help, that I should accept limitations. But I watched your new movie, and you're walking. Not exactly the same as before, I can see that, but walking. And I thought, maybe doctors know what they've seen before, but they haven't seen what someone is willing to do. I started trying harder in my rehabilitation. Not crazy hard, careful hard. Like I imagine you did. Last week I walked from my bed to the window by myself. First time. 6 steps. I wanted you to tell you, thank you for coming back, because watching you come back taught me that coming back was possible." Kenji, Jackie read the letter in his dressing room between takes. He read it twice. Then he put it with Mrs. Chen's letter in his wallet. 2 letters. 2 people whose lives had been changed not by his stunts but by what his stunts meant, by what coming back meant. He wrote back to Kenji, 6 steps from bed to window is not 6 steps. It's the whole distance from where the doctors thought you'd stay to where you decided to go instead. Keep going. Not because I did, but because you can. Your body is talking to you. Learn its language. Push when it says push. Rest when it says rest. But always ask it to try one more time before you decide it can't. I'll see your next letter. Jackie Chan. Kenji eventually walked without assistance. It took 2 years. He became a physical therapist, specializing in rehabilitation for patients with spinal and neurological injuries. He kept Jackie's letter in his office for 30 years. The branch broke at 40 feet. Jackie fell 15. Bone fragments entered his brain. Doctors used the word never. 9 weeks later, Jackie Chan was performing again. Not because he was invincible, not because the injury wasn't serious. The doctors were right about the damage. They just didn't know something Jackie knew. That the brain is trainable. That the body teaches the brain new ways when the old ways are blocked. That never walk normally again is a medical assessment based on what doctors have seen, not a ceiling on what the specific person in front of them is capable of.